Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now. Shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. I am super excited that you're here. It's raining here in Yellow Springs. Yeah, it's coming down. I'm not going to say cats and dogs, but I mean, it's coming down anyway. So one of the things that I was thinking of, and I know that a lot of you think about this as well. As we grow and as we mature, sometimes we don't look back and see what really shaped who we've become. Who were the people that influenced us the most in our younger years, and how did that help us to mature? How did that help us to have experiences, positive role models? What does that do to our lives, and how does that give us better vision, better perspective? How does that encourage us to do the things that we do today? How does it motivate us to become better adults, better examples, and even motivate us to give back in some really great ways? Well, to help me discuss that today, we have Donna Haller. And she is the director of an organization called the Village Impact. And this is a little bit about them. They're here to provide children in Yellow Springs with responsible mentors from within the community who share their interests to help make a lifelong difference in both their lives and in the lives of others throughout the village with monthly activities and with community partners. So I'm really excited about that because, again, as we move forward in this episode, just start thinking about your life and who really positively impacted you and who are you positively impacting. So Donna, hi.
Hi.
How are you doing today? I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So the Village Impact Project, how did that get started?
Well, I'm a teacher at Yellow Springs High School, and I teach 9th and 10th graders. And a few years ago, I had 3 students enter my classroom at the beginning of 9th grade, and they were great students. I just loved them, but I realized how their life would have been different if they had a positive role model in their lives. There were different things going on. Their parents worked a lot, or one of them was being raised by a grandparent, and they just could have been, their lives just would have been different if they would have had a mentor. So I thought, I'm going to start a mentoring program. And I was pretty naive. I hadn't been teaching a long time yet at that point. And I thought, I'll just start it. I got some people I knew, some young men, to start mentoring these boys. And then I realized I started doing some research and realized I had to have insurance and background checks and training. And so we kept mentoring as a family, but I started doing more research, mostly on mentoring programs, for about the next 4 years. And then a couple years ago, decided to go out on our own and really start this project. We got the insurance. I got a board put together pretty quickly, and wrote the training manual and the child protection policy.
Wow.
We had to do a lot of things before we could even get the insurance. But 2 years ago in July, we started the project, called it Village Impact Project. And we decided to call the mentees VIPs because, Village Impact Project for short, but also because the kids they are VIPs, and it really stuck. They loved the name, and our mentors, we just kept the mentor title, but the kids are VIPs.
So how, being in school, I guess you can see, a lot of students clearly because you saw there was a need to fill, but how do you kind of get the students to sign up for the program? Are there barriers there? Are they excited about it?
They're excited. The kids all come from the Yellow Springs community. Right now, all of them are involved in the Yellow Springs schools, but that means they can live somewhere else and do open enrollment to the Yellow Springs schools. They could live here and open enroll to other schools, but so far they don't. They could also be homeschooled. So it's any child from the Yellow Springs community. And mostly John Gudgel, who used to be a principal here and is now a guidance counselor at Mills Lawn, he helps me find students who he thinks could really use a mentor, but also if we've had many children ask to be part of the program. They want a mentor for lots of different reasons. So they don't have to have a certain background. They don't have to have a certain socioeconomic status, single parent families. It could be anybody at all. So we don't want any stigma attached to the program at all.
That's wonderful. I love the fact that you use the word stigma, because I had a question. When you use the word mentor, a lot of us kind of go to that familiar place in our mind as to what that looks like. So for the mentors, for the youth, what does it mean to be a mentor?
Well, mentors can be anybody from the community again, but they have to live, work, worship, coach, have a real caring for the kids in Yellow Springs. I just signed somebody up whose sister lives here. The mentor actually lives out of Yellow Springs, but she loves Yellow Springs and comes here often. So what they do is we ask that they get together with their VIP once a week or 4 to 6 hours a month. Some of the VIPs can't meet every week. Maybe they go to an alternate parents on every other weekend, or maybe they're just very involved in sports and other activities that they don't have time to get together every week. So 4 to 6 hours a month is what we ask for. The mentors, they'll fill out an application that's available on our website. And I also have hard copies. And once I go through the application, I interview them, give them an orientation. I have them fill out a playlist, and that's just how they like to play. There's a lot of check boxes, and the kids also fill out a playlist when I interview them for the first time, and that's how we match them up. Usually John Gudgel and I match everybody, because between us, we know all the mentors and all the VIPs, and we know who will go together well. And then the mentors will go through a training. Okay. And they'll get a training manual that they'll use as their guidance throughout the course of their mentorship. They go through a background check. I check all their references, and then I do an online background check that goes through the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, because they will be driving the kids to and from their activities most of the time. But it also does a background check through all the states they've ever lived in.
So that's an extensive check.
It is extensive, yeah.
Why is it so extensive to have such a check for a mentor in this program? Because
these parents are entrusting their children with the mentors, and so we want to know that they're safe. And that's why we have a 6-page, I think, child protection policy that every mentor has to read and sign during their training. So they're trained on all kinds of things for mentoring. And like I said, then they have that manual to refer back to, but they're even trained on how to end the match if it needs to be. We've had a few mentors who've moved, and we've had a few children who've moved. Yeah. And we like them to end gradually, if at all possible, but to end on a good positive note. And they can have contact with each other afterwards even. But we ask that the mentors and the kids have a year commitment at least. Okay. But so far, most of them have gone for the 2 years that we've been a program, and they'll continue on maybe until the child graduates, and hopefully beyond that.
Yeah.
And go ahead. Well, we hope that 10 years from now, some of these kids will come back as adults and want to mentor in the program because it had such a great effect on them.
That's one of the questions that I had. So, because you had mentioned graduation. So, as a youth, when are you no longer of age to be a mentor? And as a mentor, when are you qualified by age to express interest?
Okay, so you can be a VIP until you're 18 officially to be part of the program. But like I said, we hope they continue on in some form after that, just to get to know each other, see each other occasionally, or at least text, see how you're doing, and maybe go to their graduation from college or weddings. And mentors can start mentoring at the age of 21.
Okay.
So
they can start at the age of 21. You mentioned that you started, the VIP program started about 2 years ago. That is very close to the beginning of COVID.
Yes. Yeah. So we started in July of 2019 and COVID started the next spring.
Yeah.
So we got a good 9 months under our belts before that started. We sponsor an activity at least once a month, and we were going gangbusters with some great activities, but we did have to put a stop to that when COVID started. And we asked that our mentors not meet in person with their VIPs unless it was outside that they could keep a distance of 6 feet or more. And then we still asked that they mask because nobody really knew much about COVID yet. In the summer of 2020, we allowed them to start getting together more often if they were outside with masks, and the COVID numbers had gone down by then. But then in the fall of 2020, we had to have more restrictions again.
Yeah. And now, what kind of activities, because I'm sure you had to pivot as a lot of people and programs and initiatives do. What are some of the interesting ways that some of the mentors have pivoted with their VIP?
Well, in May of 2020, we started giving a bike to every child or mentor who didn't have one. We gave out 2 mentor bikes and many bikes for children. I put a call out. I found out there was one boy who didn't have a bike. So I put a call out on Facebook on the Yellow Springs bulletin board that I needed a bike. And by the end of that week, I had about 10 bikes donated. I would just come home and there'd be bikes in my driveway. And I knew, they came from somebody. Most of the time people told me they were leaving bikes. And then again, later in that summer, I had a bigger child enter the program. So I asked for a bigger bike and I had 8 more bikes donated.
Wow.
So Black Pug Bike Repair, Chris Worrell, came out to my house, looked over the bikes, determined which ones were safe and okay to give out to kids and mentors. And then he took a truckload of bikes home each time and he fixed them up and got them all ready to go again. And I've been giving out bikes ever since. Those were all donated. We didn't pay for any of them. And then we had all the helmets were donated, mostly by Rails to Trails, and some of them from the Corner Cone. When they finished their bike program, the new owner gave us a lot of helmets. We had all the lights were donated by the Yellow Springs Police Department. Chief Carlson has been just so supportive of our program. And then a private individual donated locks for them. So we had bikes, helmets, locks, and lights for all the bikes. So we have the most caring community. I just ask for anything. I asked for a set of golf clubs. I had somebody donate child-sized golf clubs, and I asked for a set of adult golf clubs and got maybe 5 sets. Wow. And so we're just trying to have lots of outdoor activities. Before COVID even started, we had somebody... Jennifer Hubbock did an activity with us where she taught us how to play frisbee or disc golf. And then she gave us a set of discs. so that we could have our own set to loan out. We have a lending library of all kinds of outdoor sports equipment that mentors come and borrow so that they can do outdoor activities.
Wow.
We've had Agraria has let us use their barn for 3 movie nights. And the third one was a really hot night. So we ended up coming into the school and we were fully masked and in a really big space and had our last movie there. But we had 2 movie nights at Agraria out in the barn. So it was really safe.
Wow. It sounds like you have so much, like you said, you know, the community is so wonderful when it comes to lending their support. Now, is that like through donations and sponsorship and things like that? Is that how you're able to sustain the project?
Yes. So most of our activities are donated or given to us at a reduced rate. Like before COVID, we had a movie afternoon at the Little Art. Jenny worked it out. We were allowed to bring in refreshments for that. And it was just, the kids had a blast with that. We watched the movie Elf just before Christmas. And so we've had Young's donated 40 wristbands for us the fall before COVID hit. We went out for their fall festival and just had a blast all day. And then they gave us 40 gift cards to go eat for each of the mentors and the VIPs. Besides the activities being donated, we've had so many just members of the community donate money so that we could pay for our insurance. That's our largest cost by far. And the background checks. Those have been really expensive, but the school has let me use the copiers and the printers, and they've also donated computers. So that has taken that was another really large expense in our original budget. So they've been very generous with us, and it's nice because, like I said, all the kids right now are from the Yellow Springs schools. It may not always be that way, but they've been very generous with us. Dr. Holden, she started right about the same time we became official. So,
wow. I know at the beginning you were talking about how important it is to have a mentor. I want to kind of dig into that a little bit more. What is tell me about your perspective when it comes to why having a mentor is so important.
It's just really great for anybody. I have so many mentors of my own, and it's nice to have somebody for the kids. It's nice to have somebody who's not their parent and most of the time not their teacher. We have a lot of teachers who are mentors, but that's, each one has their own VIP. But it's just nice to have somebody as a sounding board, to talk over things or just to have fun with, to know there's someone they can count on that's going to come and pick them up on a Saturday or whatever day it is they plan ahead of time, and the parents are very involved. So it's just very important. Now there's a lot of statistics, like kids who have mentors are 52% less likely to skip school than their peers, 37% likely to even just skip a class because they have somebody talking to them about these matters that other kids might not even think about. Youth who meet regularly with their mentors are 46% less likely to start illegal drugs, 27% less likely to start drinking. Partly because they just see a different path in life.
Sure.
So there's a lot of things that mentors can provide that parents often provide or grandparents, but at some point in a kid's life, they stop listening to their parents and think their parents aren't as smart as they used to think. So if they can see someone else who's made it in life, who's following these, the things that they tell them, and they don't, their friend but they're more than a friend. We do ask that the mentors not discipline the kids, not be a rule, not give them rules to follow, but they respect them, and they do follow them just because of the respect. So that's a different route.
What have you seen when it comes to, I guess, the impact the VIPs have had on the mentors?
Oh, yes. I see a lot of that. They give them something to look forward to. They teach the mentors just as much. Our motto is changing our community 2 people at a time, because it changes the mentors as much as it changes the kids. And it really changes the community. Just the community is giving to us, but they're out there. They're part of our activities. So it makes a big impact on really everybody. Chief Carlson told me when I went to him maybe 6 years ago, I think he wasn't chief at the time, and I told him I wanted to do this. And he said, if you could do this program, you will help us and help the teachers to just have kids who are more respectful of our community and of our school. And I've really found that. We have we have 34 kids right now who actually have mentors. And I love the kids. I love being a part of their lives. It's changed me. And right now I don't have a mentor. I mean, I don't have a VIP because I've been able to find them all mentors that they love. Whenever I find somebody who matches with me, I'll match them.
Wow. I know you talked about the process a little bit, but how long is the matching process?
We can do it in a few days if we need to. I went through a different program, trying to have a program that was already established so that we wouldn't have to start from scratch, but it didn't work out well. I know that's not the answer to your question yet, but part of the reason it didn't work out well is it was in Dayton, and they would have training maybe once a month, orientation once a month. And if our mentors couldn't get there during that month, they had to wait another month. But by having it all right here in Yellow Springs, we can do it on a quicker schedule. So I had a student who was looking for a transgender mentor. They had specifically asked for that. And I thought, okay. And so I started looking, and we found a transgender male who was so wonderful. And I wanted to match them up before the end of the summer so they could have some time together before school started, a little more time to get together. And so we got this mentor through in 2 or 3 days, because I could meet with them, do the interview and the orientation. And then I did, the only thing that took a little bit longer was the background check. Sure. And then our mentoring department can mentor our training department can mentor or train one-on-one or in group settings. Okay. So he got together with them, trained him, and then we matched them up that day. It was one of the most gratifying things I'd ever seen. It was really wonderful. That's what I love about our program. We can find a mentor for almost anybody. And I ask the community, and they come. It's been amazing. It's been pretty amazing.
And I'm sure that, for the VIPs, I'm sure that's a big relief too. Because, when you're young, you always think that whatever you're going through by yourself. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody that's going to understand. And to know that there's a place that will match you and will listen to you and will hear you and will walk through whatever the processes are. That's a comfort. Even whether you know it or not, sometimes, mm-hmm. Sometimes the children, they won't even know that they needed that. But even as we started the show, looking back on those people and those places and those times that really help to shape how you view things and even your own self-worth. There's somebody that made me feel I mattered.
That's right. And that's why it's so important that we match them as well as possible. And you're right, sometimes they don't even realize it could be a really young VIP with an older mentor that they have so much in common. We have so many stories like that.
I'm sure you do. I am sure I can just imagine. So for everybody who's listening, for people who are interested in maybe becoming a mentor or signing or encouraging someone to become a VIP, or just listening in the community saying, you know what, I want to get involved. I don't know how I want to give, but I don't know what. Where can they go to find this information and to connect with you?
So we have a website. It's ysvip.org. We are a full-fledged 501c3 nonprofit. So if anybody wants to give money, there's a donate button there. But you can also sign up to be a mentor and sign up to have your child enroll as a VIP. And we also have a Facebook page. It's YS Village Impact Project.
Yes, YS Village Impact Project.
And the YS is important because we were just Village Impact Project before when we were trying to be with another group. And we were just such a small community, part of that bigger group. So it just really works to be in Yellow Springs. And I had spent a whole summer, since I'm a teacher, I work on this every summer. But I had tried to find another community around the Dayton area, all the way to Cincinnati. And I actually called somebody out in Seattle because I was trying to find a program to model after. I had a very clear idea of what I wanted. I wanted the activities every month so that we could do things as a group once in a while. And the pairs don't have to be involved in these activities. We have some that don't do a lot because they just like to do things, the two of them, or they're not available. But when we can do things as a group, then we're our own little community, part of the bigger community. But when we do activities that are sponsored by all the businesses in town, almost all of them so far have helped us in some way or another. And so the VIPs and even the mentors get to know the community better. They get to know the organizations, and they know that this whole community has their backs. And they just feel comfortable being in the different businesses because they know they care about them. And every time we do something that's sponsored by a business, like even if we're not doing anything with Yellow Springs Hardware, we're not doing our activity there, they know that they've donated money or they've donated supplies for some of our activities. Pizza donates pizza a lot. So yeah, and Bentino's, we get a lot of, the kids love pizza. And that's another thing. We try to have food at all of our activities because there is some food insecurity in our village. And we want these kids to know there's always food. And everybody loves pizza and food.
Yes, we do. Well, Donna, thank you so much for giving us a better understanding of just how much there is going on here in Yellow Springs, but also the opportunities that we have to make a really huge contribution in some way.
So if you can't mentor, donate, or volunteer to do a fundraiser or to help with fundraiser, to help with an activity. If you know of an activity that you think kids would like, let me know that too.
Thank you to Donna for dropping by and giving us more. You know what? I'm just encouraged and I'm just inspired. Number one, to know that there are things that I can do. And number two, to know that there are VIPs in this community who are getting loved on, who are getting encouraged and inspired equally, and having those moments that they'll be able to look back in their lives and say, somebody cared about me enough to take time out of their day to spend it with me. And We all know how huge that is. So if you are in the Yellow Springs area, all the information about the Village Impact Project will be given to you. If you are elsewhere and there is a program like this that helps to nurture and care for the VIPs in your area, make sure that you reach out and do that today. And remember, you are the best you in the world. We'll see you next time on The PHILLIP Show.
Don't wait.